Since 2 years, I run a real estate website. I get over 1,000 views per day, and the scammers decided this is enough to run some fraud on this website. On the one hand, you have these professional scammers acting as a group, and on the other hand, there's me, this lonely solo programmer who runs this little website in his free time, not making any money. That said, they do money on my website while I'm not doing 1 cent. Maybe I just should change my profession. Anyway, how does this kind of fraud work? I got an email which shows you pretty well how it works. Someone writes me, dear Mr. Philip, I hope, I texted an advertiser on your website. She sent me a contract, her passport and bank account. Trusting your website, I transferred the money to her account, but something weird happened, which is that she said she didn't receive the money. And then you know how it goes. So it's always the same. People are requested to send some money to some bank account to either view the room or just to get the contract. And I have numerous warnings on my website that people should not do that. But if you're desperate and you need a room by the beginning of the semester, then you probably also fall for these kind of scammers, and they're pretty smart. There's some actually interesting criminal energy in these kind of people, which always triggers me. I find this interesting, but it's actually not. It's not funny, right? Because this person lost some money on my website. Now there are numerous ways how you could fight the fraud. I could ask for SMS verifications. You get a text message and you need to type in the number, but this is easy to circumvent. I could make the listing not for free. I could ask for $5, but my competitors, they don't ask for any money, so that's also not a feasible option for me. So what I did in the end is use a tool called SEON. They run anti-fraud as a service. Now the problem is they ask for $600 a month, and I do $0 per month. So what I did is I used their free trial month and then just used the next account. Dear SEON, if you watch this, then first, please don't stop me with my little trick. And then secondly, maybe there's an option for startups who don't make too much money yet. Every time someone posts a listing, then SEON takes a fingerprint of the device. They look at the browser, the extension, the resolution, the IP address, the email address, and they run some kind of checks on these things. And then it gives back a score. If the score is 10 or above, I get an email saying there's a potential fraudulent listing on my website. Then I created a little retool app, which helps me to decide if the listing is really fraud or not, because there could also be false positives. Today is the 2nd of August. I got 2 potential fraudulent listings. Here you see the 2 listings, and then on the top right you see all the SEON rules which triggered for this listing. And then you see the score here. So the score here is 10, 14, 15, 19. So that's way above the 10. The first rule is the domain is a free provider. Then there was no online profile. They also check if it has a Facebook profile, TikTok or whatever. And there was none. So that's usually not a good sign. It means that the email address is fresh. It was not used for any social media activities. And then there's like 2 IP addresses using my service. And then I have created some rules myself. City and cheap, meaning it's in Zurich and it's just too cheap. That's one area I usually look at. And then the other one, which is maybe even more interesting, is the Google reverse image search. So I can click on this link. You see, this image was found, exactly the same image, but this time it was used for a 3-room apartment. And on my website, I only have 1 room. It's a shared flat website. This is clearly fraud. I can then just hit the red button and then it's gone. The other one uses a fishy email domain. Let's check an image here and click here. And then, this same photo was used for an apartment in Milan. So that's also pretty easy. I'm happy that the frauders don't use any AI images yet. If you're a frauder actually watching this, then yeah, it helps you a bit to circumvent my rules. But I find this funny anyway. So let's play this little cat and mouse game. But so this time you actually use this would never be a Swiss apartment, right? We don't use gas stoves here. And then also interesting, if you open this in the new tab, and then these kind of plugs, these are not used in Switzerland. So it's outside Switzerland plugs. So this is also fraudulent. I have on every listing site and possibility for a user to say that the listing is fraudulent, because sometimes I just don't catch all the fraud listings. So that's kind of my second line of defense. The user would actually contact the advertiser. Usually the communication goes very weird, like send your passport or like just some money. And the person can click here. And this is actually very easy because it's just a tally form where they could explain why they think this is a fraud listing. That's it for my anti-fraud activities. If you run like a marketplace, I guess you also fight fraud. So maybe some of these things could help you to fight the frauders. That's all from me today.